Okay, so follow up, we were going to have our second part of today's study talk. It's going to be University of Cambridge, and it's our pleasure to invite Miss Olivia Matthewson, who is in charge of East Asia, and she will introduce the program and more opportunity at Cambridge for us.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jade. And good morning or good evening, everybody. I hope you've had a good day so far. My name is Olivia. I'm the Regional Manager for East Asia. I'm just going to give you an overview of postgraduate study at the University of Cambridge today. I'm not going to be able to go into very much detail on specifics of individual courses because we do have a huge number of courses available, but hopefully I'll be able to signpost you as to where you might want to go for further information if you need it. And I'll of course leave time for questions, and you'll also have my contact details at the end of today as well. So if there's more things that you'd like to ask or anything more specific that you'd like to have a conversation about, then you are able to do that. So what I thought would be good for us to perhaps go through today is just kind of have a look at kind of what postgraduate study actually looks like in the UK, because some of the terminology that we use can sometimes be a bit different to perhaps other institutions in the English-speaking world. We'll look at kind of why you might want to consider Cambridge and what we specifically have to offer you, which makes us slightly different to other institutions. We'll go through the application process, and then we'll talk about fees and funding and finances as well. So the first thing I'd like to do then is just kind of have a quick look at sort of what we mean by postgraduate study in the UK. So when we're kind of talking about postgraduate study, we mean either master's degrees or PhD degrees. A master's degree is in the UK is usually just 1 year in length, and you can either focus on something that is more taught. So you would attend quite a few lectures and seminars, and you kind of come away with a qualification, which is a standalone qualification in its own right. Or you might choose to focus on something that's more research intensive. So this might be something if you're thinking about considering doing a PhD when you move on, then that can be quite good. So this would be something that's more focused on conducting a piece of research that perhaps links into something done at undergraduate level. A PhD, however, this is something that you would need to have done a master's in order to complete, and it's usually about 3 to 4 years long, and this is solely research focused. So you would be expected to be making a contribution to your field of study during the time you're doing your PhD. And you would kind of, this would be something that would be required to progress to an academic career. So that's kind of what we mean by those sort of postgraduate qualifications. At Cambridge, we use even slightly more nuanced terminology. So we call our master's degrees MPhils, and that refers to anything that's an MA and MSc. So anything to do with kind of a master's qualification, we call an MPhil. So in terms of why you might want to consider Cambridge, I think there's a number of things that do kind of set us apart. First would be the academic excellence and expertise that we're able to offer you, the prospects that you would have as a graduate of the University of Cambridge, likewise the collegiate system, and also the student experience that we're able to offer you as a postgraduate student. So if you are to kind of come and join the University of Cambridge, you are entering a really sort of very academic community, an academic community that's very much focused on research and is currently contributing to a lot of cutting edge knowledge that's going on in the field. You'll be learning alongside 9,600 students, of which over 50% are international. So the student body is hugely varied, which allows for a lot of different perspectives coming into all of the different courses. You are working alongside people who are at the top of the game in terms of the contributions that they're making to their field. And we know this because we are highly ranked academically, not only in our research output, but also in our teaching as well. And by joining the postgraduate community at Cambridge, you will be able to be contributing to the research that's going on. So you'll likely be joining a research group, and you'll be able to kind of engage with them on the things that they are currently researching. And you're also likely to be then participating in the research that's coming out as well. Now, we have a huge range of courses that are on offer at postgraduate level. We actually have over 300 postgraduate courses. And the courses that we offer tend to be highly specialised. So they really do allow you to drill down into the kind of the nitty-gritty of the subject area that you are interested in. We have a huge variety as well. So some of them are more taught focused, some of them are more research focused. So you might kind of be somebody who's just graduated and you're looking to kind of develop your knowledge in something. You might be somebody who's graduated a number of years ago and are looking to access a course for professional development. You might be somebody who's kind of been away from a study for a while and you're kind of looking to come back to it. There really isn't a right or wrong time when you might want to access these courses. And I think the variety of courses that we have on offer means that there's something for everybody. We have things like real estate finance, we have machine learning, we have public health, we have bioscience enterprise, we've got marketing. We've got a huge range of things on offer related to all different subject areas. On our website, we have a course search function, and this is probably the best way to get started in terms of exploring our courses. So if you kind of search your subject areas, this could be psychology, this could be geography, this could be computer science, you'll see all of the courses that are available in those fields. And I think there's a huge range on offer that might kind of take you by surprise. What we would say is that if you are thinking about progressing to a PhD, probably looking for a master's qualification that maybe is more research focused, might be more helpful to prepare you for that. And it does kind of allow you to keep your options open, or looking for a course that's kind of tailored to kind of a balance of research and teaching can be a good way of doing it. So in terms of kind of what's on offer to you once you actually graduate from Cambridge, we know that whatever you've gone to study at Cambridge at master's level or PhD level, you will be highly sought after by employers. Now, we know that a lot of our students, they go on to careers in academia, but they also go on to many careers elsewhere as well. And we have a specialised career service who are experts in advising students whether or not you're seeking employment at home or abroad, whether or not you're looking to remain in academia, or whether or not you're looking to progress to something else. And they offer things like one-to-one consultations, they have events where you can meet prospective employers, and they also have skills sessions where you can work on writing CVs, you can work on writing cover letters as well. You can seek out this guidance at any point in your course. And sometimes your ideas might change, and that's fine. You can go back as many times as you want. And it doesn't matter whether or not you've got a clear idea of what you want to do or not, they can help you with that decision-making process. Importantly, though, you also end up with membership of the career service for life. So you could actually maybe complete a PhD, for example, go and pursue a postdoc position for a couple of years, and realize you want to change your plan. That's fine. You'll be able to access support from the career service regardless. Now, something that really does define Cambridge is the collegiate system. So this is really quite unique to Cambridge, and it's kind of something that runs alongside the academic experience that you are getting in a department. So you become a member of a department, but also a member of a college, and there are 31 different colleges at Cambridge. And essentially, this is a community of scholars, so at undergraduate level, postgraduate level, and permanent members of staff, living, socialising, and working together. So it's an academic community that you will be part of. They are very similar. Whilst there are 31 of them, they are far more similar than they are different. And we do have some colleges which are exclusively for postgraduate students or for mature students. And we have colleges which are much smaller and much larger as well. So you can really pick which kind of community you would like to be part of. Now, as well as having opportunities for you to develop your academic skills, so there could be things like conferences that will run, there may well be access to support for your research in monetary levels as well. They're also on hand to support you pastorally as well. So you have a tutor, somebody who's kind of responsible for your welfare, who you can check in with, and there's somebody who's not necessarily in your department, which can be nice because you have a little bit of distance there as well. Importantly as well, if you are coming to join the University of Cambridge, the colleges can support in providing accommodation. This can be really great, specifically if you're kind of coming maybe for a 1-year MPhil course, you know that you've got kind of guaranteed accommodation. There are some family and couples accommodation available at a postgraduate level, but this will depend on the college. And importantly, just to reassure you, you won't be housed with undergraduate students. So you can be reassured that you'll be kind of living with students who are at the same level of study for you and are likely to be closer to you in age. Now, in terms of student life, everything that's available to undergraduate students is available to postgraduate students as well. So we have a huge number of clubs and societies available. These are open to undergraduate students, postgraduate students, staff, and even local members of the community. So it's a really great way to kind of expand your network in that respect as well. And the college system will kind of support you in those social interactions as well. So there'll be things kind of organised for you to get involved with too. Because of the collegiate system, we have kind of things available at every level. So if you want to really sort of train very hard and take sport very seriously, You could do that at university level. If, however, you'd like to just be quite casual about it, have the occasional kickabout or something on a Saturday morning, you can do that at collegiate level. Now, Cambridge itself is a very, very small city, so you can really kind of bike or walk from one side of the city in about 30 minutes. So it's very, very compact and very small. But that really does mean that it's very easy to manage your time as a student. So you kind of don't have to factor in long journey times to get to different engagements. You can be quite confident that you're going to be able to access the different opportunities that you'd like to do. Despite the fact that it is quite small, we do still have kind of everything you would expect from a larger city. So there's a really vibrant kind of pub and restaurant scene. We have things like festivals, there's a number of cinemas, a number of theatres. All the leisure facilities you would expect from a larger city are available in Cambridge too. And I think it's important to kind of note that if you really do want that kind of bigger city feel, we are only 50 minutes away from London by train. So you kind of have that opportunity to kind of explore wider parts of the UK as well really easily. We have 2 train stations in Cambridge, so it's a really well-connected place within the UK. And likewise, I think it's fair to say that the reputation of Cambridge is that it is very intensive, and that we know that our students do work hard, but we do encourage them to kind of really find that sort of work-life balance as well. And we're able to support you with that through the collegiate system as well. Now, in terms of the application process, I'm going to just give you a quick overview, and then I'll go into break down all of those components in more detail so you've got a clear idea of what's kind of expected. So the first thing you need to do is choose your course. I know that sounds a bit obvious, but that really is something that's quite important within the UK system. You then need to make sure you're aware of any deadlines that are applicable to your course. You'll need to submit your application through the application portal, and then you'll need to make sure that you've uploaded 2 references and contacted those referees. You'll then need to decide if you'd like to apply to a specific college. And then finally, once you've kind of completed all of the components of the application form, you're ready to hit that apply button. Once we've received your application, it will be assessed, and we may well invite you to an interview. And then finally, we'll communicate the decision with you once we've assessed all parts of your application. Now, in terms of choosing your course, we really do encourage you to make sure that you have used the course directory, so you've really explored what course suits you. Look at the detail of what's actually on offer, and do check the entry requirements as well. So some of our courses might be a bit unusual in that they might be more appropriate for people who have got a certain level of professional experience. They might actually be more appropriate for people who haven't studied that particular subject at undergraduate level. So making sure that you're kind of reading all of those entry requirements, making sure that the course is really for you. In terms of the minimum academic entry requirements, if you've done a 4-year bachelor's degree, we'll be looking for an overall grade of 80% or a GPA of 3.7 out of 4. If you're graduating from the National Taiwan University or National Sun Yat-sen University, we'll be looking for an overall grade of 3.7 out of 4.3. So just to be aware, that's kind of our minimum entry requirements that we'll be looking for. If you are considering applying for a PhD, it's really important that you do get in touch with potential supervisors at this stage. This is because the supervisory relationship is really key to the successful completion of a PhD. So it's important that somebody is actually available within the university to support your project. You might have an amazing idea, but actually we might not have the academic expertise within our departments to support you in that. So it's really important to kind of just have a bit of correspondence with PhD supervisors. Email is the best way to get in touch with them, and it's quite an informal conversation to start off with. Just be aware that sometimes busy times of the year, it may take them a while to get back to you, but it's not that they're ignoring you, it's just that they're incredibly busy with teaching and research and other things. So do keep kind of reminding them, and they will make sure that they are able to kind of engage with you in that level. As I said, if you are maybe graduating, if you've studied in a different country, or your qualifications aren't kind of quite, maybe a little bit unusual, do check our website. There's plenty of information about the qualifications that we accept and what we'll be looking for as well. Now, it's important as well that you double check the deadlines for courses and funding. So many funding deadlines for the academic year 2022 have now passed because they were quite early this year, but places are certainly still available on a number of our courses if you are looking to apply. If you are kind of thinking about applying for 2023, do your research now, make sure you've got kind of everything ready to go, and then apply as early as possible if you can. We would really recommend that you apply by the earlier deadline. So sometimes you might see a course that will have a funding deadline that's earlier than the application deadline. We'd advise you, where possible, to try to complete the application by the funding deadline where you can. And you can search all of the different funding opportunities that you might be eligible for through the graduate funding database on our website. So you fill in a short form and it pulls out all of the different opportunities that you can consider applying to, depending on your subject, depending on your nationality, and depending on your level of study as well. And that can be a really useful kind of way of kind of trying to work out what you could be eligible for. Now, once you've you decided on your course, you've got an idea of sort of what you're looking to apply to, you'll then need to start an online application. And this is available on our postgraduate study website. It's a form that will take you through kind of a number of different stages, but it's things like your personal details, your educational history. It'll ask you for details of the course that you'd like to do. You'll have to submit a document which kind of outlines why you want to study the particular course. You may well have to submit a research proposal as well. So there'll be a number of things that you'll need to do. There's really detailed help and guidance available on the website, and the Postgraduate Admissions Office are on hand at all times to support you as necessary. So don't feel that you can't contact them, you absolutely can, and they'll get back to you really quickly if there's an issue with anything on there. Once you're kind of ready, you will also need to pay an application fee in order to submit your application. Now, in terms of references, these are really important and an important process as part of the application process, which we do value and do like to see. So we do require 2 references. And if you're kind of applying to postgraduate study and you are still studying at undergraduate level, or you've only recently graduated, usually these would be from people who have actually taught you and who know you on an academic level. So it's a good idea to kind of start that conversation with those referees and ask whether or not they would be happy to provide you with a reference. If, however, you're coming to postgraduate study after having had quite a substantial break from study, we understand that maybe you might not have anybody appropriate. We have a lot of guidance on our website as to whether or not who we would accept, and quite often this will probably be somebody else who knows you, so it could be employer, somebody who knows you in a professional level. Please do make sure that, again, you have the consent of those applying. We can only kind of start processing your application once we've received your references. So that's why it's really a good idea for you to kind of have those conversations early on, so that the referee knows that they're going to be asked to write a reference for you, so everything is ready as part of your application. Now, as part of the application process, you could actually tell us that you would like to become a member of 2 colleges. So you can have a first and second choice. This could be because you really like that particular college, you like where it's located, you get a good sort of feel about it. This could also be because they have a particular funding opportunity that you're interested in. About 65% of all applicants get one of their college preferences, but it isn't guaranteed. But if you are made an offer to study at Cambridge, you are guaranteed to become a member of a college, even if it's not the college that you originally applied for. Now, quite often people at postgraduate level go, actually, to be honest, the course is more important to me. That's the thing that I'm really sort of concerned with. And they actually decide to make an open application. And this is where the computer essentially just decides to pop your sort of application into a pot. Essentially, you get randomly allocated a college. So it's not something to agonize, but it is something that's kind of worth considering where possible. Now, once you've kind of done all of these processes, you'll then be ready to submit your application. So you'll know that you're ready because you've finished writing the application, you've uploaded all of the documents that are required, and you have indeed nominated your referee. You'll then be asked to pay the application fee, and then if you just need to kind of press submit on there, you'll know that you're ready, and then your application will be sent off. Just to let you know that if you do want to save a copy of your application, what you'll need to do is make sure that you've downloaded it before you hit submit. There's a strange quirk in our system where actually you're unable to access the application once it's been submitted. Once we've had your application, we may well invite you to interview. This will kind of depend on the department and the course that you've applied for, so it's not guaranteed for every course. And some scholarship and award bodies may also want to invite candidates to interview as well. And this usually takes place via telephone or Skype, depending on kind of how appropriate that would be for certain subjects. And so that's just to be aware of. Now, once we've received your application, we'll be assessing it, and we assess your application based on your academic merit and the suitability from the course. And we also may well consider whether or not there's space available on the course, which is why it's a good idea to apply early where possible, and also whether or not we're able to offer you that supervisory expertise as well in some cases. And if we are going to make you an offer, we will send you an email which will outline all of the things that you'll need to do in order to confirm your offer. So you'll then have something called a self-service account where you can go and update all of the different components of your offer. So we'll not usually want to see an official transcript. So this will be once you've completed your undergraduate degree, so we know that you've achieved the appropriate academic level. We'll want to make sure that you have funds in place to pay for your course. We'll also want to make sure that you've been accepted to a college. We'll need to see evidence of your English language capabilities. We'll also need to see kind of proof of identification. And then finally, you'll need to make sure that you accept your offer. And there'll be a deadline by which time you need to have completed all of these things. Once you've done all of those things, you can confirm your place, get issued with the CAS, and the college will be in touch regarding accommodation and any fees that they may well need in addition. Now, with regards to finances, we break our kind of costs down into two areas. So we have the university composition fee, which is basically everything that you're going to access at university level. So this is things like tuition, supervision, student support, all of the facilities that you'll have access to. And we also have the maintenance, which is usually the cost of living during your time at the university. So there are two factors that you'll need to consider when thinking about applying, and make sure that you have those funds in place to cover it. Now, in terms of opportunities that are available for funding, we in 2020, about 74% of all PhD students were funded, and 26% of master's level students were funded. So that kind of just gives you an idea. Make sure that you are kind of researching early and applying early, and apply for everything that you are eligible for. That's our top tip, because you never know, one of those opportunities may well kind of materialize, which will be really, really useful. So in terms of kind of keeping in touch and finding out more, as you can see on the screen, there's a QR code for you to sign up to the postgraduate mailing list. And this is a really good way of just kind of being aware of any opportunities that are coming up and things that you might be doing. So please do kind of sign up to that. It's a really quick form, and just make sure that you get all of the appropriate updates from us. We also have the UniBuddy account on our postgraduate website. So if you go into the website, if you click international students, you'll be able to say chat to our current students. And so not only will you be able to kind of talk to current postgraduate students about how they're finding things and their experiences, you'll also be able to contact me in that way as well. And so you're very welcome to get in touch with me via that way if there's kind of any questions or anything that I can help you with further. And likewise, on the screen there is my email address. And so you're welcome to make a note of that. And you're, of course, more than welcome to get in touch if there's anything else I can help you with after today. And if there are kind of any further questions that you may have. So I'm going to stop talking now. I realise I've kind of chatted quite a while, and I'm going to open the floor to questions. So I'll stop sharing my screen. I'm very, very happy to take any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you, Olivia, for your introduction. Of course, right away we already have a questions, but like I think it's partially answered when you are presenting regarding the PhD application. Of course, first of all, they have to reach out to the professor or the research team they are interested in. Okay, here's the questions. I think this audience has hold a degree, a master degree from any one of the UK university. Does it take into account when they applying for the PhD at Cambridge?
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't expect our PhD candidates to necessarily have done a master's degree at Cambridge. As long as it's kind of appropriate preparation for the PhD that you want to go for, that absolutely, if you've done a master's elsewhere, that's not a problem for us at all.
Okay, of course. And also, since they might need a reference letter, a two reference letter, should it be the academic reference, or if they have any like working experience, can they be like professional references?
So if you've recently graduated, we would prefer it to be an academic reference where possible. And this is just because it gives us probably the best information about how your aptitude for the course and how well you're going to kind of respond to the research environment and the type of things that you'll be doing at Cambridge. But we recognise that some people might be sort of entering not PhD, so postgraduate study quite late, or maybe after they've had been in industry for a number of years and things. And then actually getting an academic reference is quite challenging and probably not really appropriate. So in that scenario, probably a professional reference would be more useful. There's guidance on the website about sort of when this would be appropriate, but where possible, we'd like to see an academic reference.
Okay, next questions goes to some of the GPA requirement, as you just mentioned. Like if they are from National Taiwan University, they got to reach 3.9 out of 4 GPA from their bachelor degree, or if they are from like Sun, it's gonna be 4.1 out of 4.3. Does it mean like it's a minimum requirement, like for example 3.9 or 4 or
Yeah, so
4?
I think it's actually 3.7, I think is our absolute minimum.
Right,
But obviously the higher GPA, the better really.
right,
So that's our kind of absolute minimum. So that would be, if you had less than that, we probably wouldn't consider your application.
right.
But certainly a 3.9, 4.1 is going to be looked upon slightly more favorably, I think, because that just demonstrates a better level of preparedness from our perspective. But the minimum is 3.7.
Like in other words, academic performance with their previous degree would be the priority when the school is evaluating the application. Yeah, right?
Yeah, so I
Like
would say it's maybe not the priority, but it's the first hurdle to clear. So
right,
when we look at your application, we want to be able to tick the academic achievement box. But if we can tick the academic achievement box, we can go, right, we can now assess the rest of the application. So it's almost like the first thing that you need to be able to evidence, and then we'll look at the rest of it. But if you haven't got that kind of base level of academic achievement, that's a bit of a red flag for us. And we probably wouldn't look at your application as favorably.
we also mentioned the academic preference. If they are new graduates, it's better they can get the both letter from the professors. Should it be like, for example, if they are going to apply for a PhD program, of course they have a bachelor degree, they have a master. Can they get one of the professor from each program to give them reference, or should it be the very previous one? Like they should
Probably
be
the
the two professors from master program.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think probably in this scenario, we'd recommend you get it from your master's because that's the most recent thing. And chances are your master's is going to be very highly related to the field that you want to do your PhD in. So those people who have been supervising you during your master's are going to sort of have a better perspective of you and your suitability for PhD study than the person who did your bachelor's. So if you're applying for masters, then yeah, bachelor's absolutely. But if you're applying for PhD, then I think probably in this scenario, masters is probably going to be more appropriate.
It's definitely like get reference from the most recent degree or experience you already have.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're the people who know you best, and and the previous one is the preparation for the next
Of
step, if
course.
that makes sense. So I think that would be useful. Yeah,
Yeah, that will be also much closer to your current status into the next
absolutely.
step.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any application fee for applying any program, or is there any application fee for applying for scholarship?
So the application fee is just in general. So as soon as you submit your application, we ask you to pay the fee. It doesn't, you can still apply for all the scholarships. You don't have to pay again if you're applying for scholarships. So it's only one fee that you'll be asked to pay.
Okay, so we have like for example, of course, the first thing when the school is looking at the application will be their academic performances. So if they just get all right, a grade, does this student have any other chance to improve his or her application from other side of the application requirements? For example, they can have like other like professional working experience, internship, in order to give the bonus or a plus or a highlight on their application.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So as part of your application, we do ask to see a CV. So I think it really does depend on what course you are applying for. So there's some courses, I'm thinking like the MPhil in public policy, actually having some work experience is really, really helpful for that course, because it's more for people who are wanting to develop professionally. So in that case, probably work experience is really useful. For some of our courses, maybe work experience isn't as helpful or isn't as necessary, maybe, but that doesn't mean that's still not useful. So
Right.
any experience that you do have, as long as it kind of sort of informs the subject that you're wanting to study, I think is still really helpful. And we do look at your CV, and it's certainly something that we do kind of look at, but it's not necessarily a requirement. I think once you've kind of cleared the academic level, there's a number of things we look at. I think, and again, it does sort of depend on the course and what you're applying for. But we're going to look at your kind of your sort of personal statement, the piece of writing that you produce, which tells us why you really want to go to do this course. We're going to want to see that your CV kind of matches with your commitment to study the course.
Right.
So say, for example, you've applied for a course in, I don't know, geography or something. We might want to see then, you might sort of have some evidence that you've volunteered in a conservation society, or some of the things you've done are related to that subject area. So we kind of want to see evidence of that commitment. We want to see that you kind of understand the course and what you're going to get out of it and why you're trying to apply for it. And if you're applying for something that is research focused, your research proposal is also quite important as well. So it's kind of thinking about approaching something in a maybe slightly more unusual way. So we might get loads of applications studying theme X, which is great, like theme X is really interesting, but can you come at theme X from a slightly different way? Have you got a different approach that's going to sort of stand you out a little bit? So those would be the things that I would advise, that everything is considered. Nothing, once you've cleared that academic sort of bar, we'll then sort of look at everything all together, and it's quite a nuanced process in terms of who gets paid an offer after that.
We can probably see like your academic grade is not an absolute standard or absolute results of your application. So definitely try everything you can. Anything that it's relevant, definitely you should put it in the application.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Because as I say, once we can see you've met that academic threshold, everything else then gets looked at. So yeah, please don't, please do sort of include things that you've done, on your CV as you would for a job. Really, I think that's sort of it. There are some similarities, I guess, to apply for postgraduate study and apply for a job as well. We still, we're kind of looking at similar sort of things in a way. So yeah.
We have the next questions. Does a postgraduate student have opportunity for exchange student program?
For an exchange program, no, not really. So because our master's programs are so short, it's just not possible. They're only 9 months in length. So really, you're only really coming to Cambridge for a very, very short, intensive time. If you were doing a PhD, I think this would kind of depend on your supervisor and your research group. So there may be opportunities within your, if your supervisor might be collaborating with somebody elsewhere, and they might be like, okay, I think you should go and work with them for a month or something. So those sorts of formal things might happen, but there's nothing really there kind of formally in place.
It's kind of like some of say the institution or some of the kind, as far as I know, like in Taiwan we have some program that like encourage you to like especially for PhD student to go abroad and then probably do some say academic exchange or research exchange with international institution in Europe or in United States. I think quite similar concept for that. But on the other hand, does like for example, Taiwanese master students, do they have chance to do the exchange program? Is there any like exchange program on master level?
No, unfortunately not. No, we don't. So if you are thinking about a master's, and it could be you could do 2 masters, you could finish your master's in Taiwan and then think about, okay, I'm going to go and do 1 year intensive program in the UK, but it's unfortunately we don't have that kind of exchange program set up. So yeah, so it would be kind of you'd be applying to come as a student in your own right.
That's okay. I think this audience read the sentence maybe on your website. It says, if the academic requirement of the course is a first, what does that mean in this case?
Okay, good question. So the grading system in the UK for bachelor's degrees is 2-2, 2-1, and a first. So 2-2 is kind of like the average, and then a first is kind of very, very good. So if some of our courses will say you need a 2-1, and this is where your GPA equivalent is 3.7, and that's minimum academic requirement. Some will say we need a first, and that's where the GPA requirement will be a little bit higher, so probably more like 3.9, 3.8. So if it says a first, you need to go onto the postgraduate study website. If you click on the international qualification section, go to Taiwan, it will say what you need from your specific university. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's 3.8
There'll
or
be an
3.9.
equivalent level that you need.
There'll be equivalent level, yeah. Sorry, that is a bit confusing, I know, but yeah. I guess the first is just that like higher level of achievement at undergraduate level that we would be asking for.
We have another question. It's about the acceptance rate of master program at Cambridge. Will be
so it depends on the program. So they are competitive. Everything at Cambridge is competitive. It really does depend on the program. So some programs have not very many spaces and loads of applications. Some of them have got lots of spaces and not so many applications. So it really does depend. I couldn't give you a figure on it in general. It does really depend on the course. But just to kind of reassure you in terms of numbers that we can accept, we're not limited. So if your application is good, we can accept you. We don't have a quota for international students, for example. So
I think CS, I guess it's like computer sciences, if I'm correct.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's one. She's wondering the acceptance rate of the computer sciences master program. So
I couldn't tell you without going away and looking. I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's not something I have quite on the top of my head.
No worries. But again, like applying earlier would guarantee students have more time to either prepare for the alternative application or to prepare the later like some documentation to do after before
I would really encourage.
enter.
Yeah, I'd really encourage you to apply early where possible. So if you are thinking about applying for 2022,
right,
get on it really quickly
yeah,
if you can, because some of the courses have already closed. Some courses close in May. If you're thinking about applying for 2023, the fact that you're here now and already thinking about things is great. The more you can kind of think and reflect, you've kind of planned things out. You've got a plan A, which might be applying to Cambridge, but also maybe a plan B, which might be doing something else. I think the more you've kind of thought things through, you've taken the time to prepare, you've really worked on your application, you've spoken to your references, it can only be a good thing. So absolutely, and applications for 2023 will open in September. So which seems like a really long time away, but it comes around quick. And actually, if you're ready to go, you've kind of got everything sorted, you can have finished it, and then actually you can just relax, you can let it happen. So I think preparing as early as possible is great, because as soon as you start back at university, whether or not you're doing a master's or finishing your undergraduate level, things get busy, things get quite stressful quite quickly. So taking your time on the application, really doing your research into the course is a really good thing to be doing. So yeah, I'll just put my email address into the chat so you can, you've got it if you didn't get a chance to write it down.
Yeah, well, so if you're having questions regarding the application, the program, definitely welcome to reach Olivia. She'll be happy to answer too.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to also just copy in there the link to the website where you can contact any of our students or me as well, if that's easier. And then also this is just the page on the international qualifications as well. So if you need to kind of check anything on there, you've got access to that there.
Okay, for the information, link and Olivia's email on the chat box. We still have 2 more questions. Let's make it quick. First of all, does university like rank Taiwan, like university in Taiwan, like tier 1, like National Taiwan University?
So we do kind of consider where you come from. So the more prestigious university, I guess for us, also equates to quite prestigious university in the UK. So we do kind of look at those things, but it's not a hard and fast rule. So yes, we think about it, but it doesn't discount you. So still do apply. But yeah, we do kind of consider sort of where you've come from and the type of study that you might have done before you would be joining us.
What will be the reference? Like, for example, is it gonna be the world ranking or it's kind of academic?
Yes, it'd be national ranking and world ranking as well. So we would just, we're quite used to receiving lots of applications from quite a large range of institutions. So we kind of have a good idea of sort of where where we would place them. As I say, it isn't a kind of hard and fast rule. So please, you know, if you kind of think, oh, maybe my university is not ranked as highly nationally, there's nothing to kind of stop you still applying, because, you know, everybody's applying for different things. Everybody's got different sort of backgrounds and things. So we will kind of consider everything in one sort of as a whole as well.
Last but not least, does an international student can study part-time at Cambridge?
No, unfortunately not. And I think this is to do with your visa requirement, actually. So it's not a case that we say no, it's actually that the government say no, you need to be kind of studying full-time in order to get your visa. So I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to support you studying part-time in that respect.
The final reminder again, please, if you still have time now, you can copy the Olivia's email. And also layers the two link, please save it out. As an international student, there are a lot of information you need, especially some qualification. You might be prepared quite early in advance. Here we can find the link and the information in the checkbox. Okay, so thank you, Olivia, coming on today at your site and introduce Cambridge for us. It's a very, very rare and a precious opportunity for us for the first time. We have Cambridge here with us online. And I hope all our audience enjoy today's session, and you can find our session practical and informative and helpful for your application. Thank you, Olivia.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And as I say, please don't hesitate to get in touch if there's anything that I can help you with after today's session. More than happy to hear from people. That's great. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, everybody. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.